increased amount of technology we will be using here in Pickerington. It's very important that you guys are doing the right thing, okay? And these guys are going to talk to you about considerations you might have, okay?
Well, I have to tell you something. Let me stop. Usually it is the custom that when people come in, you applaud for them at the very beginning. That never made any sense to me, because you don't know if we're terrible. You don't know if we're any good. Forget that applause. Here's what I saw that's worthy of applause. I saw your counselor walk to the front of the room. I saw this man here clap his hand, and within literally 10 seconds, what I see are the professional behaviors from you that I see right now. You are sitting, you are attending, you are watching, you are respectful, you are checking out each other's face. In the face-to-face world, my opinion of you is quite high. It couldn't be higher. My opinion of the school is quite high, based on what I'm seeing right now. So instead of applauding for us, forget that. What I'd like you to do is applaud for yourselves for the behaviors I'm seeing from you. Challenge, and it's a huge challenge. If Officer Don or I check you out in the digital world, will we have that same high opinion of you? Now here's what I typically get when we go around and present. Some of you are doing this. Some of you are doing this. Some of you are doing this. Here's why that might be important. In the world in which you are going to compete, and you are competing now, the digital you is the real you. The face-to-face world is the you that's important, but the digital you is the one that people are going to be judging, and it's going to hold some keys to your future. I'm a college professor. One of the things I do is look for students who apply to our college who I want to come there. And I check their social media profile. Here's what I'm going to talk about today. Ways that you can help make your college choices. Ways that you can help get to the first thing you want to do after high school. Ways that you want to help yourself get the kind of job you want after high school and have it be your first choice job. I'm going to share some ways that simply by what you post on social media, you can make that easier for you to do. I can also share with you some ways that you will make your path in that direction harder, simply by what you post on social media right now. It's my buddy Officer Don. He's trained by the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. His job is to make sure that the cyber world is a safe place for me, this man here, and for all of you. Let me reintroduce him. Can I borrow you for a minute? Will you come up here? Come up here, Officer Don. That is not Officer Don. How old are you? 12? That is not Officer Don. This is 12-year-old Judy. Tracy. This is 12-year-old Tracy in the digital world. What's your name?
Georgia.
Georgia? Why would I introduce him as a 12-year-old girl? First of all, thank you for coming up here, because this is called leadership. When you can stand in front of your peers and answer questions, this is called leadership. So thank you for doing that. No, wait, you're not done yet, leader. Okay. Why would I introduce him as a 12-year-old girl? What am I trying to say, Georgia?
Why would a police officer be online posing as a 12-year-old girl? What job are they fulfilling? What are they trying to do?
Loud and proud, so they can hear it all the way up there.
Let me ask you something. Would I be online trying to catch you doing something wrong? Or do you think I'm online trying to catch an adult doing something wrong? An adult. Okay, that's good. Good.
Okay, so he's not here to come after anybody in this room. He is here to make sure the space is safe. Here's what the lesson is. The first one, come here, young man. What's your name, by the way? Derek, thank you. Which one is the 12-year-old girl? Which one is the 12-year-old girl? Her? Right. In the face-to-face world, that's easy, Derek. When you go online, I promise you, you will not be able to tell which one is the 12-year-old girl. He's a real good 12-year-old girl. Derek, you do any online gaming? Anybody out here raise your hand if you do online gaming. Okay, does anybody ever chat with anybody? Anybody ever chat with somebody they've never met face to face? Anybody do that? Okay. Put your hands down. Derek, here's the point I'm trying to teach to them. They may think that they are chatting with 13-year-old Joey from Canal Winchester, but they might be chatting with the 57-year-old creepy dude from Las Vegas. How about that? Isn't that awesome? Come on up here. As these two young leaders go back to their seats, will you please support them with some applause for being good leaders?
So our first takeaway is pretty simple. Anybody can be any person they want to be online. You can assume the identity of someone you know. You can assume the identity of a made-up person. You can be a boy or a girl. You can be young or old. So a stranger in the digital world is just like a stranger in the physical world. There's not much of a difference. You see, we get caught up in this digital world, physical world difference thing. And we'll kind of talk that over. Now, I guess, what else we learned on this is that when you're in this room with us, never, ever make eye contact with this guy because he'll pull you up on stage, okay?
Yeah, if you don't want to be pulled up, just go like this.
Because we are going to be pulling up a lot of people. If that's uncomfortable for you, you don't have to come up. But we do appreciate it when people come up on stage and help us out because there's a few things that we need your help with because, let's face it, you guys are the digital world experts on how the digital world affects you. Okay? So that's the deal. We won't pull you up unless you're okay coming up here. Now, let's talk about this physical world, digital world thing. These are some of the points we're going to cover. Don't worry about those too much. We'll get all through them. But let's talk about this digital world. You guys are the first generation ever to live a dual world existence. You live here in the physical world where you're living, you're breathing, you're interacting with people face to face. But you also live here in the digital world. And the digital world is every bit as real as this physical world. Has real people in it. Has real strangers in it, has real life consequences that come with the actions that you do there. However, our brains have a hard time adjusting to this digital world because it's nothing like this physical world. I'll give you an example. If you're here in the physical world and you go into your kitchen and you don't know the stove is hot, but you go up there and you touch that stove, what's going to happen to you? Yeah, you're going to get burned. Now, does that burn happen next week or next month? When does it happen? Immediately. So now we have a thing where in the physical world, we have an immediate consequence that happens to certain actions. In the digital world, we don't have that. When you do something wrong in the digital world, or you hurt someone's feelings in the digital world, it may be days, weeks, or months before you get a consequence. And in fact, you may not even know you've done something wrong in the digital world. Take your friends, for example. How many of you know somebody that has ever been, like, texting with somebody, and let's say they said something that hurt someone's feelings. Has that ever happened to somebody? The funny thing is, you don't even have to try to hurt someone's feelings. Sometimes, just the way it comes out in text message is a little funny. So, what you get is you either get a reply that's delayed, or you see the bubble pop up like they're responding, and then it goes away. That's when someone writes out a whole reply, and then deletes it all, and then starts over again. This happens frequently. Now, how many of you know somebody that in the physical world acts one way, but the digital world acts totally different?
Anybody know anybody like that? I do.
This is really interesting because in every single school we visit, that is the case. You're looking at about 80% of the hands, maybe 90% of the hands that go up, saying, yes, I know somebody that over here looks one way, over here looks totally different. And the question was always why? Why is there a big difference? Because I know that in the physical world, the way someone looks is generally a lot better than the way they treat and act in the physical or digital world. There's reasons for that. The lack of consequences that are immediate, one thing only. But here's another issue. How many of you in the physical world have ever been driving down the street with your parents, you're in a car, you go from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, and then that second neighborhood isn't as good, maybe it's not as nice, and then you went over and you either rolled up the window or locked the door. That's because your brain sensed a specific danger. Sometimes you can put a finger on it, sometimes it's just a feeling you get in your gut. But you'll go over there and you'll lock the door, or you're going to roll up a window. Now you also feel this when you're walking down like at Target or Walmart and you have some creepy person behind you following you. You ever wonder where that comes from? There is a very, very old portion of your brain. When I say old portion, it means that as humans developed, this is one of the oldest parts of the developed brain. It's called the amygdala. And how the amygdala works is that when you sense a specific type of danger, it sets up an alert or an alarm. And it tells your body, hey, you better watch out. I know what this is and it's dangerous. In the physical world, it works great. It obviously works well for you guys because you're still here. You've been able to avoid danger all these years. Now, in the digital world, it doesn't work as well. And this is why. You may be online, and you might have someone message you, someone you don't know, or you're playing a video game and someone talks to you, and it's a complete and total stranger. And what happens is your amygdala does light up. It says, hey, wait, this is a stranger, this is dangerous. But then another part of your brain that's very, very involved with the amygdala, it all talks together at the same time. This part of your brain, called the hippocampus, it pops in and says, hey, wait. Don't worry. You're in the privacy of your own home. You're in your own bedroom. Nothing can harm you here. Everything is okay, so don't be worried. So then we let our guard down. And then that's when we start saying and doing things that typically aren't very safe. But in the digital world, we find ourselves doing it. It's because it's a trick on our brain. It's because we find ourselves in a safe environment, but with an unsafe situation, which doesn't typically happen here in the physical world. In the physical world, if we're in an unsafe area, typically unsafe things happen. If we're in a safe area, typically we're in a safe spot. So we don't have that tug and pull with our brain. You have to watch out. Everything you do in the digital world is going to be just a little different, which requires you to think a little bit before you respond to certain things. How many of you have ever accidentally hurt someone's feelings in the digital world. Is there anybody out there that was out with one of their friends and you guys went somewhere and you decided to take a selfie together and then you posted it online and then you had another friend who got mad because they weren't invited? This is a weird situation, isn't it? So let's see where all of this is actually taking place. How many of you are familiar with Facebook? For most of you, Facebook is where your moms and dads hang out. How many of your parents post pictures of you on Facebook? Facebook is a tool, just like anything else. We think of this as social media, but let's reframe it. It is a tool that you use. It's neither safe or unsafe. It's how you use that tool that's important. It's like a chainsaw. The chainsaw is a very important tool. But how many of you know somebody that you wouldn't trust with a chainsaw? And how many of you are sitting next to that person right now? Just like a chainsaw is really good at cutting down trees, this digital world tool can be really good at either enhancing your reputation or chopping it down. It's all dependent upon how you use it. Let's take this one for example. What is that? Now, in recent memory, do you remember a celebrity that ever posted something that got them in trouble on Twitter and had to apologize for it? Now, that's not uncommon. It happens about once every 2 weeks. A new celebrity puts their foot in their mouth, and then they have to make an apology on social media. Now, we know that tool number one we gave you is to know that not everyone is who they claim to be in the digital world. Tool number two is that an apology can go a long way in restoring your personal reputation.
Okay. Here's the question, and I'll let you use the microphone for this if you want to. Let's pretend that you posted something on social media that hurt somebody's feelings, that they misunderstood. This is leadership right now. Do we have an obligation to post something that makes that a little bit better? What do you think? Yes, no? Yeah, do you agree with that? No? What do you think? Should we do that? Post something? What can we post that might help a situation? It's 2 words, and they're the toughest words to post. It's actually 3. It's a contraction. Right? So what are those words we can post if we hurt somebody's feelings online? What are those words we can post? I'll give you the first one. I'm sorry. All right? That's tough to do, isn't it? It shouldn't be, but it is. Now, how about this? How about, I didn't mean it that way? Would that help? You took it the wrong way. Would that might help a little bit? Maybe. Okay, what else might help? What else might help that you post? You post something, it's misunderstood. Huh? Yeah, tag them in a photo or something. What might you do to kind of undo that stuff? What might you do? Delete something that made them mad? So first thing you do, if I posted something that bothers somebody else, is I delete that post, or I delete that image. Second thing I do, if I'm big enough to put something out there that hurts somebody, I have to be able to apologize for it. Right? I have to be able. Now let me ask you this. What's more powerful? something I say in this room or something I post online? Come on, you're my safety team. What do you, online? What do you think? Online, what do you think? This room? Well, let's try this out. I go to presentations a lot. My gig is to start it off. I'm late. Officer Don's counting on me to start. You ready for this experiment? All right. He turns around and says,
I'm going to kill that Dr. Tim.
now that got our attention, right? But we can tell that he's kidding because of his tone of voice, because of the way he rolled his eyes, and because of the context. So face to face, we can get that. However, if, like you said, it's more powerful online, let's check this out. Same words, Officer Don tweets out, I am going to kill that Dr. Tim. Now let me ask you again, what's more powerful? What I say or what I post? You think say, you think post. Yeah. What happens if Officer Don says it? It spreads to this room right here. What happens if Officer Don posts it? Where does it spread? It posts to everybody who knows our name. All right. Thank you for taking the risk and coming up here and sharing your point of view in front of your peers. Thank you for doing that. Can you support that?
Unfortunately, being the first generation to live in this dual world reality, you are the first generation to have to put up with this problem. People can form a judgment about you, form an opinion, without even meeting you.
Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't like it, but it makes sense.
And that's a hard spot to be in. Dr. Tim and I didn't grow up in that type of environment. You guys, unfortunately, have no other choice. You're not going to ditch the digital world. It's useful. But now you have to manage not just one life, but 2 lives and 2 reputations. Now, you remember when I asked you guys how many of you had parents that put your pictures up on Facebook and stuff? Well, let's take a look at Instagram for a minute. How many of you use Instagram? And how many of you post pictures of yourself on Instagram? Here's a good question. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that have been told, don't put pictures of yourself up on the internet, it could be dangerous. Now, if I were to ask that question with all honesty, how many of you feel that there's some element of truth to that? Okay. And I kind of agree with you to a point. What I can tell you, though, is we did a study. And this study extended. Our study extended from 2008 to 2015. And what we did is we looked at FBI statistics to see if there was an increase in kidnappings, specifically like stranger kidnappings that we tried to find and verify. And what we were able to say is there's no direct link between using social media and someone being kidnapped. With that being said, having a picture of you floating around on the internet isn't necessarily in itself an inherent danger. After all, your moms and dads do it. I'm sure the school posts pictures of students from time to time. Most schools do. The fact is that having your picture up on the internet is no more dangerous than riding your bike in the street, stepping outside, going to school. There's inherent risk in everything. The question is the risk far outweighing the benefits of using social media like that. And my reply is simple. It's not that you have a picture of yourself online. It's the quality or the type of photograph that you choose to post up there. Dr. Tim has assembled a group of people that are going to be a safety team that are going to determine what type of pictures are actually safe to put online.
This is my safety team right here. We walk out of this auditorium, we come, we see some little third grader wandering around out there. That little third grader comes up and says to you, I just heard you were in a digital safety presentation. You say, yes, I was. And they talk about what's safe to post on Instagram. And you says, yes, I'm now an expert. And they say to you, what should I do? Should I post this picture or not? And she's going to show you a couple pictures, right? And you're going to say safe or not safe. Here's the kicker. You have to agree as a team. You okay with that? You okay with that? Because you might have different opinions. All right, here's the first one. Now you're going to have to use your imagination skills. Okay? You guys don't listen to this. Pretend like you're looking at a picture, even though it's a blank screen. Okay, they'll never know. So you have to pretend. Okay, you guys can listen now. Okay, so here's the first picture she shows you. It's a picture of her, and she's got the name of her elementary school on the front of her shirt that she's wearing. Safe or not safe? What do you think, safety team? Not safe? Why is that not safe? Why is that not safe? I'm sorry, say that again so they can hear it. Clear up there. They know what school you go to. So somebody says, thank you for putting that Instagram photo on. Now if I want to come visit you, I know where you are every day from 8 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Okay, so you're going to say not safe. All right, here's one right here. This is a picture of her with her favorite flower. Is that safe or not safe? Safe? Okay, safe. All right. How about this one? This picture right here is a picture of her with her mom, and over her shoulder you can see her address.
No.
Is that safe or not safe?
Safe.
Why is that not safe? I'm sorry, say that again. So here, click it. Right, they know where you live, and they can take that address and put it in something that's available online, Google Maps. You get turn-by-turn directions and a picture of your house. All right, here's the last one. Now, you ready for this? Is controversial, and this is one area where people who are in no other trouble, in no other part of their lives, are getting themselves in trouble. You ready for this? It's image sharing. How about this one right here? This is a picture of her. She's in a bikini. What's this look mean? When she does this, what's this look mean? What did that look mean? What did that look mean? Say your opinion. You're a leader. What do you think? What do you think? Is that good for her reputation or bad for her reputation? Probably what? Bad? What do you think? Bad? What do you think? That was bad? What do you think? Bad? Okay. What am I trying to get that third grader to do? As a safety team, what are you trying to get that third grader to do? You're trying to get them to do what? Before they post. Think before they post, right? Just like a chainsaw. Once you put that out there, it's going to help you or hurt you. You know, you did really well because you didn't know what the heck I was going to talk about. So thank you for that risk and being good leaders and coming up here in front of your peers. All right? Thank you.
We know that there are a lot of different applications and websites we can use to post photographs. What a lot of people didn't know, even 5 years ago, that a lot of those photographs may have information on them that could actually lead you back to the exact space that you took that photograph. There's metadata embedded in each and every photo that you create. Metadata is hidden information that talks about certain things, like the date and time you took that photo, what you took it with, where you were located at the time you took that photograph. And with the high schoolers, we have this techie demonstration that we actually show a video of us uncovering the exact location and identity of someone who took a photograph for us. We just don't have the time to show it to you, but it is important to know that. Because on top of treating a chainsaw with respect, it really helps if you know how that chainsaw works. Because the better you know how a tool works, the safer you can be with it. So that brings us up to the next tool we're going to talk about. What is that? I'm guessing a lot of you are using it, and that's fine. The one thing Dr. Chim and I will never do is we don't tell you how to live your life. We don't tell you what to do or what not to do. All we do is we talk about some common pitfalls in the digital world, and we give you some tools that you can use at your leisure. If you choose to use those tools, great. If you choose not to use your tools, you know, that's up to you. I'm not your dad, he's not your uncle. But it is important to know that if you aren't going to use these tools, you better have some ideas of your own. Because it's not a matter of if something goes wrong in the digital world, it's just a matter of when. Because the digital world is a lot like this physical world. Things don't always go as planned. So when we're looking at Snapchat, we look at how it was created first. What kind of tool is it? And we know that it's a photo sharing tool. That's how it was first introduced. You can take a photo with Snapchat, and you can send it to someone else who has Snapchat, and in 1 to 10 seconds after they open it, boom, it disappears. Problem is that that's not actually the case. Rule number 1, anything that's displayed on your phone is there forever. Anything you delete doesn't really get deleted. It's still there. I can still find it. It never goes away. It doesn't matter what computer you use, when you press delete, that item is not gone. Give you an example of this. Let's take a physical world object we're all familiar with. Let's take a book. So your computer is like this book we have. And this book is a really big book because we have a lot of information we have to remember. And because it's such a big book, we have a hard time finding contents in it. So we always go back to the index to find our way through the book. When you delete a photograph or a document or anything on your computer, it works like this. Imagine if we had this book and we wanted to get rid of something. When you delete, it's like going to the index and ripping out that specific page of the index that shows you how to get to that information. The contents of the book still exist. Just how to find it is missing. Now, with Snapchat, it is important to know how this tool works because there's a couple of different, traps that you can find yourself in. Now, for me, learning how to use a specific tool was really important, especially when I was about your age. I was about 16 years old, and my dad got a brand new car. And it was nice. It was the first brand new car he got, and it was probably the nicest car I'd ever ridden in. And I wanted to use that car in the worst way. So I thought that if I washed that car and cleaned it up, and it looked really nice, maybe, just maybe, my chances of using that car on Saturday night would improve. Maybe I'll get that car. So that's what I did. I got the bucket out, I got the hose out, I cleaned that car top to bottom, inside and out. And then put the icing on the cake, I decided to put a little wax on it. So I dabbed a little wax on it, let it dry, rub it off, and it looked really nice. I mean, I could see myself in that shine. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the whole car. So I waxed up the whole car, and I thought, God, this is going to take me forever to rub it all off. So I went into the garage and I got my dad's buffer, because he had a wax buffer, and I thought this is going to be great. I'll be done in 15 minutes. So I got that buffer on there, and I started buffing the wax off. I took it off, and I saw this glorious shine, and I thought, this is going to work great. But I thought, if it looked that good, buffing it for only like 5 or 10 seconds, what would it look like if I buffed it for like a minute each section? So that's what I did. I put the buffer down there, and I let it sit for a whole minute. And when I removed that buffer, what was left over? Well, there was no paint left over, I'll tell you that. The whole paint job got destroyed in that one section. It's because I didn't know how that tool worked. I didn't know how to specifically use it. And this is where people get into trouble with Snapchat. You see, they know that you send a picture through Snapchat, someone has 1 to 10 seconds to look at it and it disappears. But everyone in this room now knows that there's one way to save that image, and how is that? Screenshot. When Snapchat first came out, people didn't realize you could screenshot. Now, we all know that if someone does a screenshot on a photo, we get a notification that says they saved our picture. What we don't all know is that there are several applications you can use in conjunction with Snapchat, where if someone sends you a Snapchat photo, you can open it with the assistance of this other application, and you can save that Snapchat photo without the sender ever knowing you saved it. The digital world is a tricky place. Sometimes technology works in a way that we're unfamiliar with. But just know, even if you use Snapchat, be sure the photographs you take aren't going to be photographs that you would be embarrassed to show grandma and grandpa, or your mom and dad, or have circulate throughout the whole school.
Can I try something out here?
Certainly.
Raise your hand if you've ever received an inappropriate image you didn't ask for. Thank you. Officer Don, this is one area where we can really get ourselves in trouble, where we have images. If I'm a student, or heck, me, or heck, any of the teachers around here, if someone receives an inappropriate image that they didn't ask for, what's the safest thing I can do to keep my reputation intact and to keep you from breaking down my door? Come and find me.
It's all in timing. If you get a picture at 9:04 and you open it at 9:05 and realize what it is, what happens at 9:06 is really pivotal. Because it'll be the difference between you going to jail and you staying at home with your folks. It works like this. You get a picture at 9:04, you open it at 9:05. You realize it's something that is inappropriate. Let's say it's a picture of someone where what would normally be covered by their bathing suit is uncovered. Now, I love the surprise look because everyone knows these pictures go around. I mean, you know, we realize that. And sometimes you get them when you aren't even expecting it. If you are to save that photo, or worse yet, forward that photo on to other people, what will happen is this. When you forward that photo, it eventually gets to the whole school, and it doesn't take much for one student to leave their phone out and someone's mom getting curious going, oh my gosh, and then they call the police. And then when the police get involved with a photograph like that, it's serious. It is actually a felony in the second degree. The only other crime worse than that is murder. And we take it very seriously, and what we do is we find out whose phone number sent that photo, and we backtrack it to everybody who had that photo on their phone. And let's say you get it at 9:04, open it at 9:05, and send it out to everyone at 9:06. You're going to have us at your doorstep, knocking down your door, and checking out that photo, and possibly arresting you. Because it's an arrestable offense. But let's say you get it at 9:04, open it at 9:05, and then you see what it is and delete it at 9:06. That doesn't mean we won't come and ask you questions, because we can still backtrack phone numbers and figure out who had that image sent to them. But after we break down your door, we'll look at your phone, realize you deleted it, and we'll say, thank you very much, have a nice day, sorry about your door. The best thing you can do, though, is if you get an image that involves nudity, best thing to do is to delete it. Delete it and tell your parents. Because, believe it or not, your parents are far more comfortable hearing from you, hey, I got this weird picture and I just deleted it, than you not saying a word and having it come up later. Because now they know they can trust you, that you're going to bring something up if something goes wrong. And they don't have to worry about finding out after the fact.
Let's change this just a little bit. How many of you ever seen a post that makes fun of somebody else? Okay? Let's try this. Officer Don, if I see a post that makes fun of somebody else, that harasses them, and I forward that post to somebody else, is it true that I'm in as much trouble as the person who started that post? Yes. Why do you think that might be true? Why do you think that might be true? Loud and proud. I'm sorry, this is very poor. Camden, don't listen. This is very poor teaching on my part. Okay, go ahead.
Because you're like spreading it around and it's not taken.
Right. If I do that, I'm harming the other person. If I repost it, that means I agree with it. Do you understand that? There was a man he's a former Major League Baseball player. This was just this last September. Big cushy job, broadcasting, Major League Baseball game. For fun, he's broadcasting Little League Baseball games. And there was a quote that made fun of a religion. All he did, was retweet it. He was fired that afternoon. He was fired that afternoon. Because if you repost it, if you retweet it, you own it. It's as if you said it. I don't necessarily like it. He could have been reposting it to say what an ignorant post that is. He didn't have any comment with it. He was fired like that. If he would be fired like that, big name, big money, big guy, what do you think they do to a little guy like me? They wouldn't even mess around with me. What do you think they do with you? Okay, all right.
When you have someone your age take a picture and send it to someone, and then gets labeled this. Now, let's ask a question. This is just a good question to ask. Let's say you guys, someone out there in the audience, has a camera, and let's say you're at home, and you decide to take a picture of yourself. But this isn't an ordinary picture. Let's say in this picture, you don't have any clothes on. Let's say you take a picture of yourself, and you think, this is a bad idea, and you do nothing with it. It goes nowhere. It never sees the light of day. In fact, no one even knows you took that picture. Have you broken a law by taking a picture of yourself? Raise your hand if you think you didn't break a law by taking a picture of yourself. Raise your hand if you think you did break a law. Raise your hand if you have no idea what's what. What is the very first word in the statute? Did you know, and this sounds weird, but you are not allowed to take a picture of yourself. It's illegal. It's a felony of the second degree, and it's very much illegal, as illegal as if you sent it to somebody. Which, hands down, that's far worse than not sending it to anybody at all. But in either case, it's against the law.
Until you're 18.
I'm not so worried about you guys going to jail. Okay? It is a felony in the second degree, but y'all look tough. You'll do well there. What I am worried about is this. You may have to register as a sexually oriented offender. Now, this is something that keeps you from being the normal middle school student and transforms you into the creepy dude down the street. But we're not here. What this is it makes you something called a Tier 2 offender. And a Tier 2 offender actually has to register as a sexually oriented offender every 180 days with the local sheriff's office for the next 20 years of your life. So you now go from normal middle school student to the creepy dude for the next 20 years. Imagine how hard it is to get a job. It is almost impossible. Because I'm here to tell you that even getting a simple job isn't so simple when they see that tag against your name. Now, these are some apps that exist. One thing we wanted to show you is the digital world changes so gosh darn much that some of these apps will be here in 5 years and some of these apps will be gone tomorrow. The digital world changes that much.
Okay. What's one good thing about social media? Somebody who can say it loud and proud. One good thing about social media. Real loud. You can take pictures and share them, appropriate pictures, yeah? What's another good thing? Yeah, you can text people far away. Do you have to be in the same place as somebody else in order to talk to them anymore? No, you can text, right? That's a beautiful thing. What's good about social media? Yeah.
It makes me not bored.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? You hear the buzz in this room when we start talking about what's another good thing about social media? What's good about it? Yeah.
Talk to your friends.
You can talk to your friends. It's great communication. And do you have to be right beside them to talk to them? You can be across the stage. What's another good thing?
Emergency calling.
Oh, it's a safety feature, right? You can get help fast now. In my day, you couldn't do that. Good luck for me, right? Yeah. Loud and proud.
You can stay in touch with friends.
You can stay in touch with friends who are around. Communicate. What's another good thing?
Share something that you didn't get right.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to learn something, I don't know everything, but what does know everything? It starts with a G. Google. I just have to figure out what's true and not true, right? Now, what would you like to see go away from social media? What would you like to see go away from social media? Yes, young man. Loud and proud. Yeah, you. Thank you. Thank you for that. What would you like to see go away? Everything that's not good around the world go away. What would you like to see go away online? Social media. Loud so they can hear it. Clear over there. Making fun of other religions and stuff, right? Why? Don't you have anything better to do with your time than make fun of other people? What about you? Cyberbullying. You'd like to see that? What would you like to see go away? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Yes, what would you like to see go away? Say that again? Hate accounts, right? Do we need more hate in the world? Hey, when I go back to my college, I promise you they're not going to say this. Hey, did you see any hateful students there? If so, send them our way. We really want more hateful students to come to our college. You think they're going to say that? No. Yeah. Oh, isn't that interesting? Yeah, because stuff is out there. We're out there and kind of exposed for people to see. How many more minutes do we have? I'm all wrapped up in this. Okay, all right. Well, here, let me ask you this. Those people with their hands in the air. Whenever anybody comes in, it's always good to ask yourself, what message were they trying to send? What message were we trying to send? What were we hoping you walked out of here with? Come on, some leaders in here. What were we hoping? To be safe online. Beautiful. What were we trying to say? Yeah, to show you things that could actually happen when you're not quite sure about that tool. What else were we trying to share? Yeah, if you are doing it, and we're not saying you are, but if you are, those are the consequences. Really good. I know how school works. The machine must roll on. Teachers, thank you for sharing your students with us. Students, thank you for showing good professional behavior. Now is the time, if you think you deserve it, that you can apply for it.